This is Talent in the Age of AI, the podcast helping leaders navigate what AI means for their people, their culture, and their future. We talk with the thinkers and practitioners shaping how we work, learn, and lead, and what it takes to keep talent growing in a world that's constantly changing. We create, curate, and connect the insights and the community that helps leaders build AI confidence in themselves and in their teams. Let's dive in. Hello, and thank you for joining us in the Talent of AI podcast, the industry's fastest growing resource for what's going on today in AI with talent. We bring you relevant, current, real world news, not theory and not technology. We're talking about who's actually using AI to assist talent, the most important asset of an organization, in moving their careers forward. My cohort in the production of this podcast is Brianna Jovan, and she's with What's Good Productions. I couldn't do it without her, so I always like to give her a shout out at What's Good Productions. And now on to our guest today, Carrie Christiano. Did I say that right, Carrie?
You did. You did.
I want a cool name like Christiano. She is the founder of Empower Career Studios, and they're in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill. What do you call that? The triangle or something?
Mhm.
Yeah. And that was always a tech triangle when it first became a thing. Isn't that right?
R&D, right? A lot of research and development here, hubs for a lot of global companies.
I love that. So R&D plus one of the most beautiful places in the nation. And
Yes.
and you can find Carrie's World what's it, empowercareer.com?
Empower Career Studio.
Studio. So Carrie Christiano, she's a consultant who wrote a book which is so fascinating and current for today called Empower Your Job Search with AI. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the tips in the book. You, of course, can find it, and she'll tell us where we can find that. But I like to give authors a forum on talent in the age of AI because if you've written a book on the topic, and she did quite a while ago, that means she's a leading forerunner in thinking about this. And it isn't just about prompts. And there is a free AI prompt guide on her site, but this is so much more than prompts, or it's knowing the prompts. So with that, Carrie, did I tee this up appropriately? And then you can add what it really is if I got it wrong.
No, you did. You did. It's a guide that came out of my experience working as a resume writer and career coach which I've been doing for over a decade as a second phase, actually, because I started back in 2009. And intermittently, I've held recruiting positions working in talent acquisition inside of HR departments. So I've seen both sides of the fence in terms of the hiring process, what companies need and want, what candidates need to do to get noticed and get offers. And my book tries to provide insights to job seekers in terms of using AI to gain strategic insights into current market trends and opportunities beyond just what you see posted online, tapping into that hidden job market, leveraging your network, and doing it in a way that feels authentic, especially for people who maybe that doesn't come naturally to.
Well, I love that. We've had so many other guests that talk about AI as your assistant or your board of directors or your best friend in this. And I think with all the bots out there and all the job postings, and people don't know what's real or how do they get a leg up or how do they be seen. I subscribe to the old adage, it still is who you know. And
Oh,
can we use AI to help us tap into our own network and say, guess what, I'm looking, and here are my great skills and strengths. Can you help me?
absolutely. As long as you give it the context it needs and the expectations you're seeking of it, that's the trick, right? Setting the parameters for your communications with AI as your thinking partner in that process and iterating until it gives output that's accurate and targeted, that's effective.
One of our guests said she spent like 6 hours when you said massaging it and pushing
Yes.
back on it and stuff. So I think that, yes, can AI kick back to you something in 3 seconds? Yes. Has it hallucinated, wanted to please you? Is it right? So is patience kind of your friend in this, Carrie?
Patience and judgment. I think judgment is really the key, and courage, because you have to have the courage to trust your judgment.
Oh,
So you see something, Challenge it. If you question it, don't just assume because it sounds so good and AI is giving it to you, it must be true. Not necessarily, right? It anticipates what you want to hear and it skips steps sometimes. And like you said, hallucinations can happen in terms of it generating output that isn't accurate.
Oh, I love that. It is trust. I love no one has said that you should deploy courage in this. You're the first one of all my really incredible visionary guests, but courage is something that and in the form of trusting oneself. And
Hmm.
so no matter how old we are, how many years we've been in a career, I think the norm might be you don't know better for yourself. We know better. And you have to push yourself forward and do a song and dance to present yourself to a hiring manager that might know better. But does AI empower us to know better about
Yes.
ourselves?
Well, yeah, I think so. I think the better we understand the world, the better we understand our place in it, the clearer we can see ourselves. So, having insights from AI in terms of really what's happening out there in the market, what particular challenges or opportunities exist, and how is the world dealing with them, you can get deep dive research and analysis from AI to help you interpret what that means for you and your career in a way we've never been able to do before. So, having knowledge is power. Having knowledge gives you options so you can make decisions that are in your best interest as well as the best interests of people whose lives you impact.
You know, you're a resume writer by trade, and you've been doing that and giving good advice for a long time. In the resumes I've reviewed when I mentor people, especially young women, I always think there's this gem that they've hidden in, like, the 6th paragraph down, telling them, "This is your headline, and this is what you have to push forward." My other guest said when she put her world into AI, including if you've done the Gallup Strengths or Emergenetics or the DISC, put those profiles in because AI, if you do massage it correctly and you trust it, will help remind you of your strengths, right? And what you're good at or what it sees as something you may not see as valuable.
So, softer skill sets, the ones that those personality assessments can really outline for you, it's a double edged sword. So, in terms of resumes, it's the invisible backbone that holds a resume together. Because in black and white writing, what people need to see is proof positive that you are who you say you are and you can do what you say you can do. But the core of your performance and your value proposition are those core competencies, things like critical thinking, problem solving, conflict management, team leadership. Those are the core competencies that define who you are, but they don't translate well on paper
No, because
unless you tie them directly to specific challenge, action, result situations to prove you've put those skills to use.
that
So
makes
I
sense.
try yeah, I try to keep the softer skills out or use it like salt and pepper over concrete stories of accomplishment
Okay,
to
that's
frame.
such good advice. Being a marketer, we had clients through the years that say, well, we just want to tell people that we care. And I would say, well, we care is experiential. It's nothing I'm going to believe. It's akin to a comedian standing up on a stage and saying, I'm funny. And people laugh, you make
Right.
people laugh.
Right. So we care. How would you translate on a resume to say to prove that? You would say what your audience or your colleagues or your company, what benefits they walk away with because of your involvement in a particular situation or initiative.
Can AI help a person identify an example of time when they worked? I mean, more and more, the bots are asking you to upload specific examples of where you've gotten results. Can AI help a person do that?
Yes, absolutely. It can teach you how to develop an accomplishment based resume and prepare for behavioral based interviewing, where you're asked questions like, tell me about a time when, or give me an example of a situation where. So I know what I've done when starting from scratch and trying to teach people how to do this. I remember I had an accounts payable specialist I was working with, and I was in a workshop and I asked ChatGPT, tell me what an accounts payable professional does and give me an example of the types of accomplishments that they might put on their resume. So essentially, I asked for a sample resume, but with a lot of details, her specific situation, her industry space, a little bit about her career goals. And it fleshed out like 10 bullets, stories of accomplishment. And she looked at them. She goes, a lot of those are spot on. I said, well, let's break it down. Let's look at these because it's much easier. I was always better at multiple choice on a test than essay. Starting with a blank page and trying to figure out what you're supposed to put there is a lot more challenging than getting some examples or, having multiple options to choose from and then making it your own. So AI can give you examples, can explain things to you, can prompt you with certain questions, and you can ask it, so, how do I frame this into a story of accomplishment? This is what I did every day. These were my deliverables. Here's my performance evaluations. How was I effective in my role? Can you tell me, looking at my performance evals? How do I frame that on my resume based on my targeted audience? Engage,
Also, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, just engage in a conversation with it, a dialogue, the way you would a human being you're having a conversation with. Go back and forth with it. And I mentioned this to you before when we talked, Wendy. One of the most exciting things about AI for me is I'm not one of those people who grew up with an iPhone in my hand at age 3.
Right.
I didn't become a native speaker of technology. I learned it as a second language. So I'm not as fluent as people maybe in younger generations that came up with technology. But the difference is those of us who didn't have technology to hide behind had to learn how to communicate with each other. We
Right.
had to learn how to take a conversation in a direction, how to guide that conversation, how to communicate our ideas effectively, how to take responses and interpret the important information out of there. This is something that established professionals can do better than more tech savvy younger people, maybe who don't have those communication skills. Maybe they do too. I'm just saying, I know for me, technically, I'm not incredibly savvy, but AI and I are very fluent in communicating with each other because I have communication skills. It's not rocket science. It's
Right, but
common.
it is crap in, crap out, Carrie. I mean,
Yes, it is.
we did have to write the essays
Right.
out of what we knew in our brains and critical thinking.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of the audience is people in HR, talent and development roles, C-level. So it's great advice for the human that wants to be seen for a promotion or a new job or a lateral job. How do you what do you say to talent and development HR people to accept someone that's used AI as a leg up, not reject it for a person just really trying to help get some help from AI to sell themselves?
Right. Well, AI is here. It's not going anywhere. So the question is, what's the ethical use of AI in a way that isn't taking over what should be human? So in terms of, there's two ways AI HR departments are identifying AI assisted resumes being created by candidates or applicants submitting resumes. There are AI detectors that determine if a resume is being submitted by an AI tool, by a bot. That's different than somebody who used AI to assist them to build their brand and flesh out stories of accomplishment on a resume in a way that's controlled, where the narrative is in their tone of voice and isn't just the first thing AI churned out in response to a prompt.
Right.
Right. So using AI to help you organize your thoughts, look at a job posting and really understand strategically what a company's looking for, using a job posting to ask a tool like ChatGPT or Gemini. Gemini would be a good one for this because it's so it's a research, it's the best research engine in my opinion. look at a job posting, and before you tailor your resume for a submittal, say, go online and tell me why this position is open, Gemini. What's going on at that company right now in terms
Oh,
of current initiatives or challenges it's facing? What can I bring to the table that would be most relevant to this company considering their goals and challenges they're experiencing right now? Engage in that kind of dialogue so you really understand what's happening at that company. That's deeper insights than you can get from just looking for press releases manually on your browser, or they're going to a website and reading what they want you to see, right? It's
right. Yeah.
interpreting how it applies to you. So why wouldn't AI want intelligent resumes that are authentic to that person's tone of voice? I also had a great conversation when Wendy, I gave a workshop to resume writers and career coaches last week. And there was a professor there at a university who was telling me that, initially when AI came out, they were telling people they couldn't use it. The
Right.
students couldn't use it.
Right.
Well, now they have a whole workflow for how to integrate AI into your essay writing. They're encouraging you to do it. They give you guidelines to do it. Now, rather than just seeing the final draft, they ask for to see your prompts. They ask to see your drafts, and they guide you in prompt engineering and teach you how to use AI responsibly. And the output is 10 times more advanced than it would be if you just ignored this amazing tool out there that makes you smarter.
I love that. The train has left the station, and telling people they can't use it is inane because we all have a computer that we have attached to our hip all the time. What's the for an HR director who's posting a job to not do the ordinary job description? So the HR person would go to the hiring manager in a division and say, "What do you want?" "Oh, I need a director to do this. Here's the job description that we've had for like 8 years that we just keep regurgitating." I think this research that you're talking about and asking AI to help you massage and continue to kick back, work with you on refining that description. Even back to your point, look at what's going on in our company. It's so the hiring manager has a need tomorrow, right? I need someone, the salary is $85,000. I need them on board tomorrow to start working. Well, if you look at what your C level wants and they need, they're trying to stay alive in this crazy economy, and they need people that can succeed and drive toward goal. So I'm intrigued by what you said. If a hiring manager, an HR person, could put in annual reports that are public, or the speech that the CEO gave at a conference the other day, and then how would it round out? Is it too much work for a job description at a middle level?
I had never thought of that. I think that's an amazing idea to provide job seekers with information in terms of giving them deeper insights to the company. I think the biggest challenge HR is having, though, is how to manage the traffic flow of resumes coming in, that they're coming in from qualified candidates who are tailoring resumes
Yeah.
personally rather
Right.
than a bot coming in. And I posted about this the other day, and I had somebody give me a really interesting response who's a corporate director of recruiting. And her response was, employers should include a statement in the job posting or application that resumes should accurately reflect the candidate's own experience, and that AI generated or misleading content may result in disqualification. And I thought that this is a good way to guide job seekers in really understanding ethical use of AI, because we all need the education. We've got this tool, it's the Wild West out there. We're all trying to figure out its capabilities and use it responsibly. And I think companies need to teach job seekers how to do that by giving that framework in their job postings in terms of what they allow and what they don't allow, so job seekers know how to comply and give them what they need.
But don't you think people will rely on AI anyway, and they'll believe that the company won't detect that they did? And I'm going to suggest maybe the wording should be different. You're going to use AI, we know you are, to help us understand who you are, but it really has to be a reflection of what you've accurately done and who you as a contributor are. I mean, I would flip the language versus be punitive. and just say, here's who we're looking for. And
Yes.
frankly, if you show us that you can use AI effectively, I want you even more.
Right. That's where it's being integrated into every workflow.
AI isn't just coming, it's here. But for HR and L&D leaders, the real challenge isn't the technology. It's translating AI into workforce capability and leadership behavior. At Talent in the Age of AI, we center everything around one question. So what? What does AI actually mean for how you develop people and prepare your organization? Don't just react to change, lead it. Become a member today at talentintheageofai.com.
To be punitive like that and all that, I don't know. What I was suggesting is just a human HR person puts in their companies, not to show the candidates the annual report, but to put that in to help them craft a job description that's more creative, accurate,
Oh, I
and inspiring. And then maybe it fleshes out that person that totally gets it. And if you don't get where the company is going based on the annual report or a CEO's speech at a conference, then maybe that helps ferret out people. I don't know.
Well, you bring up an interesting point in terms of how AI can be integrated in creating job postings that are
Yeah.
more effective in attracting the right people and weeding out the wrong ones or the underqualified ones. There's a number of things beyond just internal information. There's market analysis and trend analysis. One of my favorite things, and I talk about this in my book, and this is from the job seeker perspective, but ChatGPT came up with this for me, the idea of a composite job posting. I was working on a resume project, and usually I ask candidates to provide me with a sample posting or two, right, for targeting, my resume content to a specific audience. Well, ChatGPT came back with what it called a composite job posting. And I said, I didn't ask for that. Why'd you give me that? And it said, well, I could give you one or two random postings, but what I did instead is I went to a number of websites that have templates that companies use to build job postings. I did an analysis of those postings for this type of role, and I created a master document for you with scope of work, requirements and qualifications, success indicators, and keywords that are the top trends in all those websites out there that provide HR departments with templates. And I thought that was a brilliant thing to create this North Star composite job posting that's representative of everything out there. Well, why couldn't companies do something similar in building and evaluating their current job postings in regards to what their competitors are posting or where the market's going and gaining deeper insights into how they're positioning themselves within the market? I think that would be fascinating.
I do too. I think we don't have to be stuck in what we've always done and wring our hands about AI and bemoan the fact that all these candidates are just going to use AI to tell me who they are and I don't really know what their skills are. What if we all adopt it in our own areas to be better? I mean, you can use it to be lazy, you can use it to be inaccurate or whatever you choose, to push yourself forward in a way that isn't you, or you can use it to be actually more authentic and more inspirational and rich in the work that we're all doing. And I think our audience at the HR level, I think that's insightful to say, what if you busted out of that 3, 4, 5-year-old job description that you're filling for the 18th time because there's churn and
Right.
decided you want someone who's going to stick. And you don't really care if they use AI to tell you who they are, as long as it's really telling you who they are. Right?
Right. And if you take it one step further, let's look at HR business partners, those individuals in HR that have hiring certain, like functional departments that they guide in their hiring decisions and organizational design. So, why not equip HR business partners with those kinds of insights they can use to inform hiring managers with more sophisticated recommendations in terms of where the gaps are on their team, how to adapt to current trends and opportunities, etc. Let
I
HR.
love that. Yeah, the reason I got into this whole world was with a university that would help identify gaps in performance. Here's where the company wants to be with a goal. Here's where most of your people are. Here's that gap. And we'll educate and edify them and give them the skills they need to achieve. But it was a long, arduous 18-month, very expensive proposition because it was humans doing the research. And even with that, the humans are only going to be as good as the information given to them by the ex-managers of the company and then
Right.
their own view of what that says. So you let AI loose on what it knows about productivity and your numbers and everything in confidential manner, of course. But I just think what it could unearth in terms of gaps would be, I don't know, so visual, so inspiring, so insightful that maybe even a group of humans wouldn't have gotten to in a 5-year study.
True, and also in integrating it into workflows, finding
Right.
more efficient workflows, and HR business partners could work to increase productivity and streamline processes with recommendations that come from deep dive research.
I think that's really a cool idea. So I think that, our audience, they're dealing with those who you're advising to be better, but then they have ways that they can be better because we're all in it to be fulfilled in our jobs and make a difference at work. And our companies are paying us to do that. And I think what we're providing here is, again, real world steps and ideas to leverage and enhance the use of AI versus reject it or wait. Because I still talk to people who are waiting, Carrie.
Waiting to use it or
Yeah, like in
right.
a company, they're waiting for the right technology, the right process, the right policy.
That fear I think is understandable, but now's the time to get on board and start learning this because it's going to continue accelerating exponentially and how complicated it gets if you don't understand the basics of how to use AI now. I often recommend to people to upload it on their phone and use voice to text and use it for everyday things to start understanding that back and forth dialogue and how it progresses and what prompts work and get the best output and how predictive modeling works in terms of how AI processes patterns and spits out data back at you. You asked me earlier about does it make me smarter? Well, I'll tell you a funny story quickly. My husband and I got a motorhome about a year ago. And I'm not a mechanical person. We got into our campsite at about 8 o'clock at night in one of our first ventures out, and I couldn't get the water to work. I mean, I turned on the water pump and I'm thinking to myself all the way till about 3 o'clock in the morning, when I couldn't sleep, what are we going to do without a kitchen and a bathroom that's functional? I'm not happy about this. So I thought, well, let me just chat with ChatGPT about it and see if we can figure out what the problem is. And we worked together and it asked me a series of questions and I took pictures of panels to show
Wow.
mechanicals and it says, no, that's not the fuse box. Why don't you check under the sofa on the right-hand side? Take a picture of
Wow.
that.
Wow.
And I solved the problem and the courage that gave me to tackle things in my life that I wouldn't normally go after. That's an exponential growth piece for me too, because it's a lot different than go to Microsoft Help, and it gives you a series of commonly asked questions.
Yeah, prefab. Yeah.
Right, you have to look at 100 different questions as opposed to taking a screenshot and giving it to an AI tool, and it sees the specifics of what you're working on and guides you through troubleshooting.
How long did it take?
I had to Well, it didn't take that long. The problem is I had to move furniture inside of the
Oh,
bus in order to get to the panel. But no, it didn't take that long to identify that a fuse was busted. I mean, the first question it asked me when I said the water pump will work, it said, well, is the awning working? The awning? So I tested it and it wasn't. And I thought, well, what? And is the overhead light working? I
it's
tested
putting
it.
2 and 2 together about is your power. Do you have power?
Those 3 are lined together out of the same fuse. If you can find the fuse box, it's probably that fuse number 15A.
Wow.
So I went there and I looked, and sure enough, that light had popped up that said that fuse had been blown. And it took me through reinstalling it too. Like I took it into the store. Is this the one that I want? So,
You know,
that
yeah.
courage.
So it was the courage that was also. I still have a few people that say I'm never going to use AI, and they're just retired people who think it's voodoo or something. Well, around your home to be able to do that in about, I'm going to guess it took you 30 minutes, if that's might be generous, but in old days, you guys would have gone the night without water, gotten up, found a way to go to an RV dealer or somebody and have them come out, and I don't know, $500 later.
Right.
But today, you just solved it, so there's a sense of satisfaction, easy to understand. So you had a friend and an RV mechanic in Gemini or whatever you used there. And I think that in you're right, put it on your phone, use it in everyday life, and you start to put connections together about, well, here's how that could work in this way, in this job, with my children, with my grocery list, with my alarms in my house so it won't stop beeping. That might be a personal example. It's approachable. And all you do is put something in. You don't have to click into Gemini or chat. You can just put it in. It's going to give you the first answer is going to be the AI bot trying to solve for you. And then they always say, what more can I do for you? Or can I go ahead and show you a diagram? And you're going, sure.
Right. Right.
So I think it's an amazingly optimistic time. And I appreciate what you're doing for candidates out there. I mean, people still need jobs and they're searching. I don't think AI is replacing people right and left, but it will replace people that don't learn how to be a friend with AI and trust it and trust themselves, is how I'm going to paraphrase what you said. That courage to trust yourself that you can use this, but don't be lazy and let it do all the work. But trust that together you'll present yourself in a great manner. And our HR VPs and talent and development people, trust yourself that you with AI can help unearth, identify, get people to raise their hands that are the right people for your organization because you have this new, I'm going to call it a friend, not even a tool.
True. And even within correspondence and how you communicate with team members. And I've gotten some incredible insights on what would be an appropriate way to address a difficult topic with a member of the team. And how can I, work through this suggestion in a way that will be inclusive to everybody involved and copied on this email communication. I've just found that it's made me approach situations I might have shied away from before with some of the teams I work with as a consultant, or approached more awkwardly. Now I approach with more confidence, having some ideas from AI on, my messaging.
That's talent development, right? And so we do these tools. I talked about Gallup, the soft skills disc, et cetera. They're used as hiring tools, but they shouldn't be. They should be used as development tools to understand Carrie thinks differently than Wendy. And that you're not a better brain. I'm not a better brain. We have different brains. But guess what? If we work together, we could knock our socks off. And so to use AI to help me approach a person, or in my situation, my company, I had two people that were oil and water and they fought every day. And I pulled them together. I showed them each their own profiles. One had all the patience of Job and one had the zero. And the one with the patience of Job was in accounting. And I wanted her to have that, to be thorough. The one without, uber creative person. But when one had to get help from the other, they drove each other crazy because they had different styles. But helping them understand how they were different, but they needed one another's brain was helpful. So if AI is that tool that helps you approach a person and help them develop better at work and their relationships with others and your approach to them, let's go for it. I love that analogy, Carrie. It's cool.
Yeah. Even helping you structure your thoughts and organize ideas and have the courage to propose those ideas. I think there's an opportunity for a lot more creativity and for people to be able to communicate their thoughts in a way that applies directly to the situations they're approaching.
And at the very least, it's just a suggested way to do it. It is like if you had a mentor that you could call and go, I don't want to talk to Jane because she's, but this is out there. It's like, 10,000 people telling you how to approach Jane. Well, Carrie, it's just been so delightful to talk with you today. I love your insights and your real world advice and tactics for how people can put themselves forward, their best foot forward with the help of AI, and how our HR target, our talent development target, can use AI to unearth and get the best people to raise their hands. Carrie Christiano is my guest. She's the founder of Empower Career Studios, empowercareerstudio.com, where you can go to that website to get her book, which I highly recommend. It's Empower Your Job Search with AI. It's got a ton of helpful information. If you are a job seeker, if you know a job seeker, there's nothing wrong with just reading what's working and what another idea is and giving it a try. Carrie, I'm so grateful that you joined us on Talent in the Age of AI.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and your audience.
Thanks for listening to Talent in the Age of AI. If this conversation gave you new ways to grow in your own work and to better support your people, follow the show and share it with others in your HR and talent network. Members get even more. Full episode transcripts, extended show notes, and companion resources to help you put these insights into action. Learn more and join us at talentintheageofai.com. We're here to help leaders create, curate, and connect what's needed to build tomorrow's workforce today. See you next time.